Welcome back, guys, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we are starting the first of the series, which is going to be kind of our season preview of each team, just kind of talking about some of the guys they lost, some of the guys they have, some of the guys we could see in the lineup, possibly, through preseason. So we're starting with the BC Lions. How are we feeling about this, Rick? How are we feeling about the Lions?
So to be honest with you, I'm nervous for their running game,
Yeah, it's
and
really
and
not
I
so
would say their
sure.
defense.
Yeah, because the thing was is that the guidance and coaching of their defense has been pretty decent. Although, like you were mentioning to me a little bit earlier, out of they have 45 defensive guys, and you said 22 of them are brand new.
22 are so I have here just linebackers alone. There's 8 linebackers at camp. 3 of them are new. 19 defensive backs at camp. 12 of them are new. And when I mean new, I'm talking either rookies or players came from other teams.
New to
And
the
then
system.
yes, okay, new to the system. And then defensive line, we have 18 at camp, 7 new faces.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, like, I didn't mind their playbook that they ran with the Lions last year, and honestly, seeing the Lions defensive coordinator just like lose his mind on the sidelines was a lot of fun. But it was one of those things where a lot of the times the offense for BC would be rolling full steam, but then if the offense had any hiccup, then that was like the floodgates were open because the defense just couldn't stop anything. So I think
Mhm.
for the Lions, getting a lot of fresh faces in there, getting a lot of eager talent to kind of make their mark on the Lions is kind of a good way to, like, you're not going to build an entire amazing defense from that, but you're going to get a few outliers of guys that are really putting in the work, that are really going to make the difference, that you're going to want to keep around in future years, because you'll at least get a few of those. So I guess it'll be curious to see where we see that with the Lions. However, you also mentioned the running game being a bit of maybe a weaker spot. So they sign former NFLer Antonio Williams, although like you were mentioning um, before our chat when we had our 4 hour long technical difficulties chat or whatever the hell it was, trying to get this damn thing to work. He has played almost like as much as he's from the NFL. He sure didn't play that much, and not even
So
necessarily play that many minutes, but just not much at all.
yeah, so 1 year, what did I say? 2020, he had 1 game, 62 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Then I think it was 21.
21, yeah, that was 21.
He played 2 games for the Dolphins, had no stats. So we don't count those 2 games with the Dolphins because if you have no stats, that's
Then you weren't on the
doesn't count.
field.
Yeah. So technically, he's played 1 game that I can find information on for the Buffalo Bills. Then you have
Because like that's not much to go off of. This to me kind of seems like it's going to be one of those things where they'll throw him in the lineup and just kind of flip a coin to see how he does. In the sense of this could pay off really, really well for the Lions, where they put their money in the right spot. But then because of how untested he is, despite the fact that he was in the NFL as well, I'm not sure exactly how well that will do. And you also have to realize that I feel like with anything like I feel like with running backs especially, the 3 down game has got to be that's got to have some sort of difference for the running backs in the sense of they get a little bit more leeway with the 4 downs to really, like, I'm going to say, take less chances in trying to go for those extra few yards. Because that's the thing. If they go for a throwing play and then they decide to run, it's like you got to get that full 10, otherwise you're not getting nothing. You can't get 2 5s. You got to get the full 10. So
yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see that there. Although I got to say, as a Bomber fan, it's really nice to see some guys find new homes. And when I say nice to see them, I don't mean nice to see them leave the Bombers. That sucks. I don't like when that happens. unless it's
Yeah.
when we get a new kicker, in which more than welcome. But the seeing Michael Couture at center on that O line is going to be really, really important for the Lions, I think, because last year we saw a few instances where that O line crumbled a little bit, and Rourke was really, really good at managing that. But I don't know if Adams Jr. is quite as good as Rourke was in that aspect. And even then, if you look at Rourke's injury, and some of the kind of the rough hits he took, it's because his O line kind of fell apart right in front of him. So I think Couture is that perfect fit there at center for the O line there. And then they also bring in Jonathan Kongbo, which is another good addition to the team.
So the only thing that I would say about the BC Lions per se
Yep.
is as you can tell, their defense, they have a lot of new faces.
Yes.
Their receiving core, the only really name that's going to be in the starting five is Justin McInnis is going to fill in for Brian Berman because Brian Berman retired.
For Burnham, yeah.
The other question mark that
You're talking about like the only name that was not in there that's for sure gonna be in there next season.
yeah,
Okay, because
because
I was
they
about to
have
say you're like
yeah.
the only name. I'm like Lucky Whitehead, and then I was like
Well,
didn't
no,
hear
well,
Lucky
no,
Whitehead, and I was like wait a minute.
no, because you have Cody Hatcher, Rhymes, and Lucky Whitehead starting
I
four.
liked Rhymes. Rhymes was nice. He was.
Then you have Justin McInnis that will probably replace Burnham, or there may be a couple other people. The other question mark that I will say about the BC Lions is if Adams Jr. goes down, then you have Dane Evans, who had a horrible season last year. And not
Yeah,
only
no,
not only
I watched that one game in Hamilton. It was a rough time for Dane Evans. He decided to take field goals into his own hand and throw them every single play, a few meters above the head.
not only that, but I don't know if people know this or not, but his how do I put this in a polite way?
You don't need to put it
Hit
in a polite way.
Well, no, just because like with him playing a horrible and his game wasn't there,
Yeah.
he was seeing a shrink off field.
Wait, what?
You didn't know about that?
What about this? Hold on a second.
Yeah, he was seeing a shrink
Oh boy.
off the field. I forget what the doctor's name is, but yeah, it was like I forget what her name was. But he was seeing a shrink because his mindset was not there. Because they're always losing, they're always struggling. It's like, oh, I forget how the wording goes, but yeah, so he was seeing a shrink last year. And then you have Dominic Davis. Dominic Davis will be their short yardage QB. So
Yeah, and
then
I think he's starting in this preseason game, right? That we got coming up.
Dominic Davis, he
Davis.
is
I think he was starting
let
for the preseason game. You have the depth chart, so I think you would be able to see that.
yeah, give me one
Yeah, I was almost positive about it. Here
here.
at CFL Central, we don't prepare and we
Yeah,
find things afterwards. What? Okay.
so Davis is starting tomorrow
Yep,
and Evans is backup.
gotcha. So, do you think they like
So
switch at the half there, maybe?
I
Just
want to
give them a
say
bit of time, or do you think that they'll switch it for the next game?
if it's so between Evans and Davis, they'll play 3 quarters.
Okay.
Erickson, who is the third string, will probably play either the third or the fourth. The thing is, if Adams Jr. goes down,
Yep.
BC's season's like down the toilet. Like
Yeah,
I don't even.
and that's the thing. It's difficult even with having Adams Jr. as the starter, as there is the uncertainty there. There is the upside in the sense of Adams Jr. His ceiling is higher than either of those other guys. So if Adams Jr. is playing up to his game completely, BC is a competitive team, and I can see them probably coming third in the West. Realistically,
Honestly, if you want my honest opinion, because I wasn't sure if we were going to do these, I thought we were going to,
we'll give a little
So my whole
smidge.
thing is, I was looking at it earlier. So this is where you can kind of compare the two. Okay, so Warwick had 10 games, 255 out of 324 pass completions.
Okay.
33, we'll say about 30, 33 and a 3,345 yards passing,
Yep.
25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And then he had 304 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yep.
Now, if you take Adams' 8 games, he had 118 out of 180, 1,504 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Will he do as well as Rourke did?
No.
Probably. I
No.
can't see him throwing for 3,000.
No.
I can see him going for 2,000,
Yeah, I can see that.
maybe
And
2,500.
yeah, although
But
it's
I don't think that the receiving numbers, like just going off of the top 5 that I mentioned, one of them had 1,400 or more yards. 3 of them had 1,000 yards or more,
yeah.
and 4 out of the 5. Well, if you include Burma, you're looking at 5 out of that had more than 500.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you look at out of all of the players from last year,
Yep.
only Hatcher and Rhymes had over 5 touchdowns. Everyone else had 4 or less.
That's fair.
And that's
Yep.
including Cotty and Whitehead.
Interesting. Now, one thing I will say is that, you know, and this is kind of going into I guess the last little bit I want to cover. The I don't quite understand the Lions' decision releasing Purifoy, but then releasing Sean Lemon. Can we wrap our heads around that? Like, because I
I
I
mean,
saw a lot of comments around saying it was contract stuff, but I understand dropping contracts and whatnot and trying to keep your salaries a little lower, but like there's also some players that you should keep because they're good. Like I don't I'm not exactly sure how much those deals were for, but I don't, especially Sean Lemon. I really don't quite understand that, but is what it is. I mean, what do you think
I
about
mean,
that?
if you really want me to be honest, we don't get paid the big bucks to make the dumb decisions,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
as I would say. But I mean, like I said earlier, you have 18
Armchair
defensive.
GM, huh?
Yeah, armchair Jim. Like I said, there's probably what, maybe 8 defensive line that you really dress. Okay, keep 4 as backup. So now you're really looking at 8, 12 defensive line. And then there's what? I'm just trying to do the math here. 10 people on a practice roster. Is that what it is?
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. Remember.
Okay, so you figure you put 2 of them on there. So you got 12 of the 18 defensive linemen.
Yep.
Like I was going over their draft. So of their draft, this year alone, 7 out of 8 picks were all defensive players.
Yep.
You had 2 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, 1 defensive lineman, and one of them has already been cut.
I see.
Then you have Junior Aheo, who was from France, one of their global picks.
That makes sense why you butchered the name.
He didn't come. He either didn't come from France or he got cut already.
I see.
And to add into it, you also have Giovanni Robinson from Jamaica. There's nothing wrong with being from Jamaica. It's just I've never seen anyone in the CFL from Jamaica.
I don't. That's actually kind of neat. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've ever heard that either. So I guess at the end of the day, we got all this on the table. Where do we see the Lions finishing this season? I see them finishing probably third in the West.
You on you think that
Maybe.
Jake Mayer? To be honest with you, with how because I didn't watch the full preseason game the other day, but I just have a hard time with the receiving core that Calgary has, and I'm sure we'll get into it much later. I honestly don't think that Calgary has the receiving core that will bypass BC Lions.
See, I'm predicting that Vernon Adams Jr. is not the replacement that he. And
I'm
that's
not.
just pure gut feeling.
I'm not saying he won't be the replacement, but like I said, if you look at his 8 games last year,
Yeah,
that's without Rourke. That's 1,500 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1
that's
interception.
fair. That's a good point.
What would he have done if he had all 18 games?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that like Adams Jr. has more than what Jake what's the quarterback for Mayer? Jake Mayer.
Jake Mayer, yeah.
Yeah, so Adams Jr., and I hate to say this, Evans is even more experienced quarterback than Jake Mayer. Jake Mayer hasn't started. He's been
I don't know how I feel about the Evans over Jake Mayer train. I'm not on that train.
No, I'm not saying you're on the train. I'm just saying like as far as like playing years.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
Saying,
I'd argue he hasn't played. I'd argue he hasn't played. But
Mayer?
I'm joking about Dane Evans with his last year.
No.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is with Mayer's little experience behind Bo Levi Mitchell, it's almost gonna be like I kind of compare Mayer with Kelly of Toronto.
I can't.
No. What I'm saying is if those two quarterbacks do well, the team will do well. It's either sink or swim.
I see. I see. I thought we were saying that they're the same, and I'm just kind of like, okay, Rick, okay.
No, so I want to say
second or third, I think. I don't think they drop below third.
Winnipeg will finish first. So you have Winnipeg, BC will host Calgary.
Well, we'll get into the other ones. We have 9 videos to get through, Rick. We will.
No.
But
what I'm saying is, like, I don't see the bottom feeders, as I call them, the toilet teams, the two basement teams. I don't see them finishing above BC.
That's fair.
So I'm saying BC will finish second.
Okay, that's a fair prediction. I have third, possibly second. Like I have it kind of like it. Like I'll put it this way: they could be second, they can't be fourth. That's what I have it as. You know what I mean? So like I think that pretty much. What was that? Sorry.
I'm just saying that it's all going to come down to their quarterbacks this year for BC.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's true. Although that's the thing, the same thing about Calgary. But I think that pretty much wraps up this video. It went a little longer than I expected. However, I think we covered a lot of ground, and I think we're both excited to see how the Nathan Rourke-less BC Lions do. And sorry, I had to rub it in for our people in Vancouver. I actually really like the Lions. So, but anyways, until next time, guys, make sure you tune in for all the other ones on all the other one of your favorite teams or not favorite teams. I have to cover them too. Sucks to be me. So I will see you guys in the next one. Touchdown!